So my presentation, I'm going to call it the Polish Giotto. I interviewed my dad's best friend, whose name is Zbigniew Karaszewski, hence the Polish and the Polish Giotto. My family, myself, and Mr. Karaszewski right there. So a presentation on innovation. So as far as the person goes, he's my dad's best friend, and I probably will call him Uncle Zbig sometime during this presentation. He was born in Poland and he immigrated to the USA, like jumped ship at age 18 and worked his way up from there. He's got some pretty cool stories, but they're for another time. He met my father working as an architect for the US Navy. He's married, has 2 adult children, and he's a fabulous storyteller, speaks eloquently, and is really intelligent. So just a note about his journey. It goes like that. So, all right, so as far as the job goes, he created this business called Giotto Technologies. It's named after the Italian artist Giotto, who drew a perfect circle by hand. So if that tells you anything about the goal for perfection, a little bit. Here's just a screenshot of their website, and taken from the website. It says Giotto Technologies, Inc. is an technical consultancy company providing highly specialized services and products to the marine, offshore, energy, and related industrial sectors. So the basic business, what they do is they take their main project right now is they have a computer system that you install sensors all over the big ships. And then it'll tell you how your systems are doing. So like it'll tell you if like your pneumatic system has too much pressure in it, and then if it has that issue, it tells the people on board what you should do about it. Like if you have 6 days till you're in port, you need to do this. But if you only have 3 days, this will work. Or if you don't have any days to make it work, it'll let you know so you get to port right now. That type of thing. So it allows for the people to interact intelligently with their machinery. So like I said, they focus on intelligent systems. They design, prototype, build these types of systems, working with fuzzy logic, which is kind of things that are fuzzy, set science. They diagnose systems, they virtually create them and try and make them work before they actually produce them. And they research the life expectancy of these things. So in his words, they're the general medicine practitioners of man-made equipment. So if you see here, I'll get him to go away. But down here, little names for when this complies with the tech cases. So this is definitely a version of the cross-pollinator. Do all these different things with the same systems. So as far as cutting the cord, like I said, he used to work for the US Navy. He decided that it really wasn't for him. He didn't really enjoy having to report back to people he's never met before. He didn't like having to work with people who just cut down ideas for the sake of cutting them down. So instead, he wanted to go somewhere his creative impulses would be nourished instead of cut apart. So as in his words again, he said, it became an intellectual lobotomy for me to continue working for people I did not recognize as value-adding individuals, which I thought was a little bit of an intense statement, but it says. So as far as surviving the hard hit, he said when he started out, his greatest challenge was actually that he did it alone. He said he's a very people-oriented person, and that doing that was very difficult for him. Networking is very important. Bouncing his ideas off of others, feeding off of their energy is something he does really well. So when he did it all by himself, it was really hard. And I asked him why he continued to go on despite the fact that it was really difficult. And he said that I continue to go on my own because it's hard to find people to share your own vision of the future and that complement you. It's like marriage. And well, I was never very good at dating. So I thought that was kind of funny. He's really looking for that relationship that will help build him up. And I said this kind of shows that he's one of the collaborators as far as the 10 faces go. So he said he found strength from within. He says he just kept going because once he got started, he was so excited he just couldn't stop. He's really excited by the real world and finding ways to help out that way. Like he said, it's his view of the world grows exponentially every time he goes out there. And it drives him to find something better and to make his customers excited about the something better he's found, which makes him a hurdler and kind of an experienced architect. So down the titles of innovator and entrepreneur. It was really interesting. I asked him, as an entrepreneur, what do you think? And he goes, well, first off, I kind of think that everybody's an entrepreneur. We have 2 mothers after all, mother necessity and mother creativity. We make them proud based on many factors, including the environment we grow up in, live in, people we prefer, that we go. So, and he kind of just explained to me that the entire thing about being an entrepreneur and getting it to work is that you have to work. You've got all these processes here, studying, analyzing, trying. You can't do it by sitting down. I asked him what his most important innovation was, and I was expecting him to tell me about this intelligence system more in depth. And he actually told me that his most innovative creation or product, I guess, would actually be a way of thinking called systems thinking, which is basically coming up with a different way of seeing things. It's kind of like taking all the information that you have, sorting it, and dealing with it realistically. He said another really good idea that he had was not an idea, but an attempt is kind of to like take original ideas and not let reality and practicality totally slaughter them, but instead find ways to make these realities real so that they are interesting and worth something. He does a lot of social working. Like I said, he's a collaborator. So he runs his ideas by trusted friends and colleagues who excel in the same field as him, so they kind of know what he's talking about, make sure that he's presenting himself in a good way, as well as people who excel in places where he's weak in this area. So like he says he talks to my dad a lot because my dad is apparently very practical, and he's not. He likes to think about these crazy ideas, and so they kind of work well together. He also has hired people to do the things that he does not do well that don't relate to the field. Things such as management of secretaries and stuff, and like your financial planning. So things like that won't end up dragging the business down, because you don't want to get your taxes being the only reason why your business isn't doing well. So needs for inspiration, things to think about. I asked him, I was like, if people were to be innovative, what would you recommend for them to do? So think about things that you want to do, things you're passionate about. Some ideas he said for that are to just think unconventionally, think outside of the box, because the box has already been totally full. That's why there's a wall around it. He said pick a controversial subject that matters to you, figure out why it's controversial to you, what bothers you about it, and how you could go about fixing it. Move forward with your ideas, and don't let anybody just step down on you. Again, don't let reality crush you, but keep going. And seek excitement from the audience around you. Figure out what people are passionate about that you're also passionate about, and then go together with that. So basically he summarized it. He said, all this is to get me and others stimulated for things to come. I always look for inspiration in people and the things that they do, which kind of makes him an anthropologist as well. So I asked him, for the innovators tomorrow, what do you have to say? He said, in order to seek inspiration, he said a lot of times we overcomplicate things. We try to make these big, really in-depth technical advances when all we really need to do is look outside, see how a tree does it, and then we're pretty okay. So he says, don't overthink things. Try and just go with what's already been provided and just make it slightly better. You don't have to start entirely from scratch. So acknowledge the existence of simple solutions. It's kind of the same idea. And don't be afraid of knowledge outside of your expertise. I know for a fact that he's an engineer, however, he really enjoys philosophy. We had a discussion about infinite realities once, and he was totally educated about it, but like, he's an engineer. You don't necessarily expect those two things to go together, but you never know. Maybe it will. And so business-wise, he said networking is really, really important, and you should surround yourself with like-passioned people, not necessarily like-minded. So, if I think about things verbally and he thinks about things pictorially, it doesn't make any difference. You can just keep going through things and hopefully see things in a different light. So a final hard Polish proverb, as I deemed it. Basically, this is kind of what he sent me off with. Travel, see the world, spend time with other cultures, German, Chinese, and Hindu. Ignore politicians, but not politics. Learn how to see the world as a whole, get some tools to help you do it more effectively, and explore everything. Read and question anything that comes across your face. Be alive all of the time. Do not guess knowledge, learn it, and use it, because all knowledge is relevant. So I'll leave you guys with that thought, and hopefully you'll go forth and be innovative in your lives.